Hi, I'm Dr. Greg Winteregg. I'm a dentist and a partner at MGE Management Experts, and I'm very proud to say that I'm here today with Dr. Chris Salierno, who is a private practicing dentist, but also chief editor at Dental Economics, which everybody has heard of. And we're going to discuss some hot topics in dentistry today, and I hope you enjoy it. Okay, Chris, so I sold my practice in December of '93 to become a partner at MGE Management Experts, and you today are in private practice. So I have a question for you. I never participated in any reduced fee plans. They were definitely a trend at the time, and obviously they're a bigger trend now. So how do you feel about participating in those plans and giving up 20, 30, in some cases, giving up 50% of your fee?
Well, I don't feel great about it. It's cost of doing business these days, it seems. When I started my practice from scratch in 2010, it was a foregone conclusion from the lender that gave me money, from my CPA, from my team that, well, of course you're going to be taking some plans, right? I mean, how can you start a fee-for-service practice in a busy suburban neighborhood in Long Island, New York? And, you know, sure, it was kind of a foregone conclusion. Now, almost a decade later, they're kind of a necessary evil. Look, I'm happy to provide affordable care to patients. I'd rather it be on my own terms.
Yeah.
I'd rather be able to set the discounts myself and be able to guide the patient through that payment journey rather than leave things up to, you know, predeterminations that are barely worth the paper they're printed on.
Right.
But I also look at it as a marketing expense, right?
Absolutely.
So the one thing that these companies do for me is to bring in and welcome a number of patients from my community into my practice. So from that standpoint, I'm happy to still participate and welcome those patients in. Although, as we know, some of these companies are getting very greedy, and they're playing a lot of tricks that are not fair. They're playing dirty pool here, and they're manipulating the reimbursement fee schedules or not raising those fees where they should. And they're certainly playing games where they're not reimbursing for things that they should. So it is very difficult compared to when you were involved with it. It's gotten a little bit muddier. I don't have an easy way out of this one.
Well, here's my biggest concern. I was raised in the restaurant business, and you know the margins are very thin in the restaurant business, and the restaurant was owned by my dad and my uncle. And my dad knew exactly how much everything cost. He knew exactly what it cost for that hamburger and french fries, for that chocolate sundae. And he told me, you know, this is how much this costs, and here's how I established my fee. And so what I'm concerned about is dentists putting money in the door ahead of the cost of delivering the service. And I had a dentist from Manhattan a few years ago who came into MGE who was getting $250 for a partial. And her husband, who had his own business, had done the cost analysis, and it was costing her $350 to deliver it. And I'm like, how do you do that? And she's like, well, it's $250, but it's costing you $350. So here's my concern to our viewers is you have to take the time and look. You can't just assume that any person in the chair is better than no person in the chair. And I talked to a practitioner who had done $5 million in collections with 3 associates and wrote off $3 million. Well, you have the cost of producing $8 million with the staff, the facility, supplies, all the resources, and 2 of the 3 associates were taking home more than the owner. So bigger is not better. And so my concern, and this is the point that I wanted to make here today, is the doctor really has to look. I was considering getting into a PPO, and you'll laugh at this, but I was getting $35 for a cleaning. This is in 1993, and they were going to reimburse me $15 while I paid my hygienist $21 to do it. And I'm like, my dad would not be happy with me. He would take me out behind the woodshed and like, did I not teach you any better than this?
Right.
So my conclusion was I'm better off to associate if I'm not busy enough.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So that is my concern. It's not like they're criminals and are trying to take advantage of. It's a business model, but then I think there are dentists who are allowing themselves to be taken advantage of by just not knowing. And this is something where you might need your accountant or someone to sit down and say, exactly how much does this procedure cost?
I love that you're talking about this because when I lecture, I talk about, I wrote an article for Dental Economics a couple of years ago where I say we should be looking at gross profit margin. We should be saying what is our cost for materials and what is our cost for labor. And in this case, I like to include the assistant. We're not including any of these other overhead items. What does it cost to provide a good or service? And if we start to make a calculation of that with the help of the CPA or however, as long as we're consistent in calculating it, then calculate it how you like. Now we can look at those reduced fees from PPOs and say, can I afford to provide care at my standard for this lower reimbursement?
And there has to be a moment where you say no. I mean, I got $495 for a crown when I sold my practice. No participation, that was the fee. I talked to a dentist in a very upscale area in Florida who today is getting $445. I mean, at some point you just have to say no. So I just want to send out the message to those watching, pay attention. You can't just put this on automatic. You have to keep your eyes on the road. You have to keep your eyes on your costs.
It's great to welcome the cash into your practice, but see what's going out the back door.
If it's costing you more, then you have to say no.
You got to say no.
You're better off being closed.